I thought I was ready for this certification, but I wasn't. And I really believed that I had it. I'd been studying, I felt productive, and the moment that it ended up hitting me was actually really random. It wasn't even during a practice test, it was during me studying towards a specific topic. I realized that I couldn't even explain it without looking at my notes. I couldn't do it confidently, and so that's when it ended up clicking for me. If I can't explain it under pressure, what's going to happen under exam pressure? Now, here was the part that made it worse, because that one topic actually revealed to me that it was many areas that I was doing that for, where I felt familiar, but I wasn't necessarily sharp in it. And being familiar is dangerous, because familiar can trick you into thinking you're ready. I have been studying comfortably. You recognize the terms, you recognize the commands, you recognize the concepts, but recognition isn't recall. And certification tests expect test recalls. Around this point, I had two options. One was to convince myself that I was overthinking it, or just admit that I may have been studying wrong this whole time. That second option hurts because I have put in a lot of hours towards studying for this certification. I've been consistent, I've been disciplined, I've been putting in the work. So how can I not be ready? But then that was when I realized taking notes, watching videos, reviewing labs, doing labs, replaying sections when I feel stuck, and trust me, that feels productive, but sometimes it may not be. But the exam doesn't pause, the exam does not rewind. So every time that I go and check my notes, sometimes can make me feel like, well, you can't do that on the exam, so what will I do when it gets there? I'm not necessarily learning it, I'm just going back to my notes, basically giving myself the answer. I have trained for gradual understanding, but that's just not the same thing. So I changed something in my learning session. Instead of learning passively, I began to learn aggressively. I began to explain every topic that I'm learning in my own words to make sure that I truly understand it. Granted, I still take notes, I still watch videos, but it's not the main point. Two different things that I added was that ended up adding keywords to things I could not understand. So if I couldn't explain it clearly in under 2 minutes, then I did not understand it. If I could not immediately match the keywords to that topic, then I did not understand it. And this has dramatically improved my learning experience. But it was uncomfortable, because then you realize how many gaps you actually have. But another area where I felt like I was failing at is I was testing a lot of my exam knowledge, but sometimes we need to test our exam speed. We only have 90 minutes to finish this exam. If you take too long on a multiple choice, you are going to miss out on your PBQs. You burn time, panic begins to build, and you start to answer out of just I panic. So I began to time everything that I do. I use the CompTIA A+ app, and you're able to actually set a timer, and with that it shows you how fast you actually end up answering the questions. But I now time my practice questions, I time exam questions, I time explaining concepts. Everything gets timed now. And it exposed something else, that my weak spots weren't random, it actually just exposed what I was pushing off for later, because it could have been that they weren't interesting or it was way harder, and without realizing it, I was avoiding it. It's just human nature. We lean into our strengths and we delay our weaknesses. But exams don't grade on your strengths, it actually exposes your weaknesses. So now I'm attacking my weak domains first, not last. In every study session, I always make sure to do the hardest thing possible first and gradually go to what is easy. And that alone changed how I study. It's less comfortable, but it is more honest. And here's the truth I did not want to admit. Part of me loved the idea that I was almost ready, because almost ready feels close. It feels safe. It feels comfortable. It feels like progress. But do you want to portray something that is false, like almost ready, and that potentially is the reason why you failed your exam? Or do you really want to pass this? Because it requires pressure, it requires repetition, it requires to fail in private and to rebuild. And that's where I am right now. I'm not quitting, I am not discouraged, but I am recalibrating. Because I'd rather admit that I'm not ready now than to sit in my chair pretending that I am. The difference between passing and failing isn't effort, it is precision. So this next phase of studying is going to look different. More aggressive recall, more time pressure, more keywords, more explaining, more uncomfortable repetition, no more casual reviewing. I don't want to walk into this test hoping. I want to walk in being certain that I will pass. And right now, I'm not certain, but that's fixable. And I'd rather just fix it now before regretting that I didn't. But we'll see what happens.